Right, because in December, Roger Goodell says the NFL has moved on from Kaepernick after the whole workout situation. But then recently, Goodell said he wishes the NFL would have listened to Kaepernick sooner. So it's a total 180.
Roger Goodell Roger Goodell is insincere. The NFL has had every opportunity to make this right, and their unwillingness to do so really speaks to how they felt all along. They didn't stand up for him when he was being attacked during his protests. They didn't stand up for him when the president continued to attack and bash him. They decided that Donald Trump's approval meant more to them than Colin Kaepernick's job. It's just that simple. And the owners, many of which who are Trump supporters, sided with the president. And as much as they might want to undo that history, they never will. They made their choice. And now he has to sit in it. And all it took for them is just to have the courage to stand up. And I judge people not by what they do when it's convenient. I judge them by what they do when it's inconvenient. And the NFL already showed who they are. So like whatever Roger Goodell says now is just disingenuous to me because, and not only that, he's a convenient fall guy in this issue because you know who you don't see on camera are the owners. Those are the ones who ultimately control whether or not Colin Kaepernick gets back in the league. You don't see them on camera saying that they thought it was a mistake. You only see Roger Goodell because that's what he's paid to do because he works for them, not the other way around. He has literally no say-so into whether Colin Kaepernick ever gets a job in the NFL, but he's convenient to trot out there and make people believe there's some kind of sincere remorse on the NFL's part, and there just isn't.
Right, because you have your own history with the owners of the NFL. When you're talking about Jerry Jones, when I guess he threatened to bench any player who does anything to disrespect the flag, you felt that advertisers should boycott the Dallas Cowboys.
No, what I felt was, when I made those comments, which is what got me suspended, the pressure I was applying to was the fans. So after Jerry Jones said that he would bench or cut any player that would take a knee during the anthem, a lot of fans, Black fans, were saying that the players should stand up to Jerry Jones, that they should, that he was humiliating them and disrespecting them by saying something like that. Of which I said to many of these fans was, why are you putting so much pressure on the players? Why are you forcing them to give up something that they've worked for their whole life? You know, the easiest way that if you want to make your opinion known about this issue is if you stop watching football. That's really what it takes. It's like you guys can apply as much pressure to Jerry Jones and the Cowboys and the NFL, more pressure than the players can. So why are you forcing them to leverage their careers when you won't even do something as simple as not watch on a Sunday? Between the two of those, what's easier? Probably you shutting off your remote. That's probably changing the channel. That's a lot easier than asking a guy who spent the last 10 or 12 years of his life trying to be a professional football player to all of a sudden walk away from that and millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars at the very least that help support his family. It has worked since the beginning of time, which is economic boycotts work. They just do.
Right. Because in 2020, the NBA actually approved protest messages on jerseys, which the NFL is not going to do.
Never. I mean,
but the NBA is actually trying to get in front of this.
Yeah, well, but it's a much different relationship between the, Adam Silver and the NBA players. It's just a different relationship between the owners and the players. The players have more power in the NBA. They have guaranteed contracts. You poke the bear with them, they might walk away, all right? And they got money behind them to do so. They make more money. Their careers last longer than the NFL. The NFL looks at its players as being disposable. So to them, they think one of you protests, I have another one in here next week that'll fill your spot. Like they have no problem sending that message. And so they've already sent the message effectively by what happened to Colin Kaepernick. They blackballed him from the league, for standing up for humanity, for standing up for his people, for standing against police violence. That's what it's going to say in the history books, no matter how many times they try to rewrite it and make it seem like it's going to be a different way. The truth is, that you have a much better chance of playing in the NFL if you hit a woman than you do if you stand up for injustice. Much better chance. That's proven, right? So they have already communicated to the players what you will lose if you decide to go against us. And even though they're saying that if players decide to protest during the national anthem, that they would stand in support, I believe that on some level because they've already made it known that's what they plan to do, or we think that's what they plan to do. And many players have said that they plan to protest, but they still can't be trusted because, again, I look at what they did when it wasn't convenient. And when it wasn't convenient to support Colin Kaepernick, they didn't support him. So if I were an NFL player, if they're expecting the NFL to have their back or to somehow try to work with players so that they can make their voices heard, I think they'd be foolish to trust them.